Hey everybody, thanks for tuning back into another video here at Caster Gets Crafty, and today I have a little bit of a smaller project. So I had a few recommendations in my previous video where I was told, let me ask somebody if they can get some sort of bits or some sort of item. And so I did ask a friend, and he had this 3D printed Godzilla miniature, extremely miniature, very low quality Godzilla laying around, and I figured I'd do something with it. And I decided I want to do something that I've been wanting to do for a very long time. I used to watch these videos where people do these awesome clay art with Altoids, and that's exactly what I'm going to do with this miniature Godzilla. So hopefully I can get this Godzilla to fit in here with the proper scale. It's not going to be the best quality diorama, but it's going to be something that I'm going to be hopefully doing on this channel for a while. It's going to be a series I wish to do called Altoid Diorama Art or Altoid Diorama Clay Art, something of the sorts, and where I'm just going to be doing every month a different genre, a different theme, or maybe I'll ask someone in the comments to give me some ideas for the Altoid art. So first what I'm going to do is actually draw out and trace the tin onto a piece of paper so I can cut out some sheets so I can use as the base and so I can use for the actual top side of the tin, which I'm hopefully doing some sort of art of some kind. It might not be pitch perfect, but it's going to be a start. And if you guys enjoy that, please let me know in the comment section if you guys enjoy that, and I will continue to progress in that aspect too. Since most of the stuff that I'm going to be using in this clay tin is going to be really miniature, I'm not going to be too worried about the quality, but definitely hopefully it turns out really good despite that. So once I've drawn out my shapes from the Altoid tin onto the piece of paper, I use my X-Acto knife to cut out the sheets ever so slightly and just make sure that they fit properly into the tin. Now I know I got several recommendations in my comment section in my previous two videos about what I should do for my next videos. I'm going to take them all into account, every single one, I promise. I'm going to add them to my world, I'm going to add them to the story, I'm going to add them to the novel. I'm going to make sure every single one makes it in here, into this video, into this channel, one way or the other. I'm gonna end up making it. My next project next week will probably be again with the Wild West, and it has to do with an idea that I have, but eventually I'll get to every single one that I've seen in the comment section as best as I possibly can. Now that I made sure that my pieces of paper match my tin as close as fit as possible, I decided to just put some Mod Podge there, both on the top and bottom, just to make sure that it sticks well so it's not moving everywhere while it's inside. Even though it's probably very well secured inside the tin, I want to make sure it's firmly plastered onto the base of the tin. Now, as I put away my Godzilla in my tin, it's time to pull out some clay. Now I did buy some pretty cheap clay. The clay isn't exactly the best. It's very sticky, very mushy. It's not like the Super Sculpting at all. It's very difficult to manage, but it's gonna do me pretty well, at least for this video. But before I start to work with the clay, I think I should maybe add the sand and the gravel to the base, since I am trying to recreate that. I don't know how to pronounce it. I think it's Ginza from Godzilla -1, where he destroyed the train behind him and then he destroys the rest of the town. It was very gravel-like texture on the ground. It wasn't like modern days, obviously. So I was making sure that the gravel and sand that I had wasn't too big so that it matched the terrain. The Mod Podge is fairly good to just keep things in place, but just to be sure, I decided to use some watered down white glue just in case. After that, I decided to mess around with the clay, and as you can see, it's very difficult to use. It's not very good at what it is. Maybe I should have been doing it on a different base, but my whole plan with the clay is just to make some blocks so that I can later paint on the details later, some simple rectangles and squares for buildings. So I'm trying to cut as many different shapes as possible. Some bigger buildings with bigger shapes, some smaller buildings with bigger shapes, smaller shapes. I use my blade to eventually switch to Super Sculpting because I wanted to add some detail by adding the train, like the tracks, and I wanted to make sure I had it properly sculpted, so I switched to super sculpting just for that. I added all my black pieces, black buildings that I made with the cheap clay that I had purchased, and decided to work on the train tracks with the super sculpting instead, just so I can get ready to bake all together all at once. Now off camera, I decided to work on the sheet in my other desk area in my room. It's going on pretty well. I was able to draw pretty much the poster of Godzilla -1 and paint it to some accuracy. It's turned out pretty good for a very small project. It doesn't have to be extremely elaborate, and I mean it can be, but I think this is good for what it is. Well, now that my painting was done, now that I had all the pieces primed, I decided to start painting each piece as well as my Godzilla figure. So for the Godzilla miniature figure that was given to me from my friend, basically it was just painted in a darkish green color, and then I was going to use a turquoise color to paint the spinal fins that come out of its back, to represent his I guess transformation when he uses the mode. And I figured it was time to get a little messy, so I did put on a glove and started going crazy with the buildings, painting them gray, painting on the sides of the windows. So once the paint was on the Godzilla miniature figure, it didn't look so rustic as it did before when my friend gave it to me. It's actually not bad at all. It's actually coming out pretty nice. The clay figures as well, the clay sculptures for the buildings, once I added the paint, it looked much more ideal along with the whole project, with the whole idea of the tin. It came out pretty well. So all in all, despite the quality, it came out pretty good and pretty easy to have, and now I have my own pocket diorama with Godzilla -1 on it. So before we head on to the glamour shots, I do want to thank everybody for joining and clicking on the video. If you did, thank you for watching. Please help me out. I really love doing this. I'm enjoying myself a lot, going into the field of dioramas and this whole art. It's very enjoyable. So if you guys can please help me out, share this video, comment down in the description, comment down in the comments below, hit a like, hit the subscribe button, and anything you can do to help me out, really, that would be great. Thank you for tuning in, and let's go on and see the shots. So once again, guys, thanks again for clicking on the video. Please hit a like and subscribe, drop a comment down in the comments below, and thanks for watching.